Hey everyone, this is Mark at the Action Figuratorium, and you're looking at some figures which I have picked up in the past and done reviews of. One is a Magic the Gathering character on the right, Chandra. The middle one is Morguleth, who is made by a company called Four Horsemen. It is a line of fantasy figures called Mythic Legions, and today I'm going to be doing another unboxing video of another Mythic Legions character. This is a guy called Belphegorr, and if you've ever seen that Ridley Scott movie Legend, this guy looks kind of like the main sort of villain of that sort of weird demon devil guy in that movie. It's sort of an homage to that. So we are going to be checking that out today on this episode of the Action Figuratorium. Why don't you stick around? This is a screenshot I did of the Four Horsemen sale that they had on October 1st, in which they were going to be selling limited amounts of figures from one specific wave, and the sale would last either a week or until they ran out of product. And not to spoil it or anything, but they ran out of product. So I wanted to show you guys, for those of you who aren't hip to these sales, you should definitely get on the mailing list for Four Horsemen Toy Company, which is a group of toy sculptors in New Jersey who've worked for a lot of other major brands and made a huge contribution to the action figure community as a whole and the toy biz industry as a whole. These guys are doing it for themselves. They now create their own toys, their own IP. They actually launched a video game based upon their own IP. They do fantasy figures, but they've recently launched a line of science fiction figures. I have a video talking about that, and you can check that out. Here. But I wanted to show you guys what is on one of these sales that you'll be notified via their mailing list, where they open it up at 12 o'clock noon Pacific time, 3 o'clock Eastern. And I just wanted to show sort of what the store looks like. You can see that they were selling this Arethyr line is what it's called. It's sort of, this is the main guy that I've got the mouse squiggling on here, and these are all sort of a lot of horses and horsemen and demons and goblins and a couple of warrior knights with some extra accessory packs that you can get for them. So this is what was available, and this I'm not sure exactly when I took this screenshot. Normally on these sales, they last about 2 minutes before everything that they had for sale is gone. Now, I don't know how many things they have at these sales. Maybe there's only one each of each item. I don't know, but this one they advertised that they were going to be taking all of their sort of inventory that they had in stock, which I'm assuming that there is just extra toys. If they pre-order, let's say, 14,000, they get 14,000 of a particular character, and the minimum order quantity is like 15,000. Well, then they're going to have an extra 1,000 sort of kicking around, as well as anything that might be a blem, a scratch and dent, a factory second. Maybe something's wonky somewhere with the packaging, the accessories, something that doesn't make it a perfect toy to send out to backers or pre-order people. That this stuff is all going to eventually end up in one of these sales. So this is what was available, and the previous sale that they had, I ended up buying this Hadriana character, which is this female knight who has this kind of cool lion's visor that comes down. Also comes with like a brown furry cloak and some cool weapons, giant hammers, things like that. Because I already had her, I was, of course, when this sale came around, and you're dumb not to pick something up at these sales, by the way, because, for example, the characters I bought, if you were to just try and get them at Big Bad Toy Store when they even had them, they're 50 bucks. So they're 35 here. Be stupid not to pick one of these guys up for $35. Be really dumb. You can sell it for $90 if you just hang out and wait a little bit for a few of them to go away on eBay for a bit. If you just need to get your money back, you know. I'm not talking about trying to like live off them. I'm trying to like just, you know, you bought it, you enjoyed the toy, and now you want to pass it on, which is something I like to do. I like buying toys, and I like unbuying toys. So this time around, I figured, all right, I don't really want the this guy Magnus because he's just a dude, and you know I got plenty of dudes, and I don't really like the goblins. I don't really like the way they look. I think they look a little I don't know. They're not as cartoony, comic booky, bigger, larger than life looking character, which is what I kind of like. They seem like they're more like accessory characters. Like you got a bunch of guys, and then here's some weird goblins that hang out with them, right? And needless to say, if you look and see which ones say sold out, right? The ones that are not sold out is Hadriana and the two goblins. And believe it or not, folks, I went back the next day to their page and looked to see what was still available. At the time, they still had two goblins for sale, and then a little bit later that day, just the blue goblins. So the goblins, they must have had the most of, sold the least of, and then even then when they put them on sale, no one bought them, or didn't buy them as much, because the other stuff was like super quick, gone. They had short supply to begin with, and anyone who came along, no one got one. So I got the Belphegorr guy, okay? That's kind of the punchline to this. I got this cat right here. Here is in the box. And the mistake that I made when I bought this was because when you're on these sales, like the ones in the past are like literally everything's gone in 2 minutes. So you have to get in there and click cart and click and click and click and next and credit card and next and listen, just to get it. And then you're like, whew, all right, my order's in. Well, what I should have done is I should have picked up the wings, the demon wings for this guy. That was a mistake because they were only 12 bucks, and I spent $12 every day on like coffee and a chocolate muffin. And I don't even really like chocolate muffins. So if you think about that, right, the wings are nothing. The wings are nothing. And I when I went back to get them, they were gone. They were sold out. Now I did go to Big Bad Toy Store and saw they had a pre-order for the vampire ones, which look like they're the same except they're gray. So maybe I'm just going to paint them, and maybe I'm going to paint them a universal color that I can use them on a couple different Mythic Legion figures, not just Belphegorr, but that is the dream. And I don't know when Big Bad Toy Store is going to actually have them and be able to ship them. I pre-ordered them for 19 bucks and change, so I would have saved about $4 or $5 if I had picked them up at the time. But I could have got them in a color that's real good for the figure, where I wouldn't have to do anything, just, you know. So I think what we're going to do now is we're going to talk a little bit about the package, open this up, and see what these guys have delivered. So the first thing that I always like to do on these is look at the packaging on these toys and talk a little bit about the packaging, because it tells you quite a bit about the company and the toy itself. With these guys, the Mythic Legions figures that I've been buying from the Four Horsemen website, in their order fulfillment opportunities, they keep missing the three main ones, which is brand building, put your logo on the outside of the box, the cardboard box that it comes in. Sales collateral, put in some type of brochure or catalog with it, and brand loyalty, which is some sort of a thank you or a little token gift, a sticker, a piece of candy, even just some initials saying thank you on the packing list. On this particular one, I did not even get a packing list. It was just this figure in the cardboard box. I really like this company a lot. I love their product. I'm right now kind of a super fan. And so when I say these things, it's only because I wish these guys were crushing it. And if they would take a little bit of this advice in terms of fulfillment, they might get that much further. So let's move on to the main package that the toy comes in. This is a lot like their other ones in that the figure is in kind of a clamshell, and the cardboard behind them is the same graphic that they use for everything, regardless of the wave. For example, here is the graphic from the Morgulith character that I unboxed. That is the creepy female skeleton Lich Queen. And you can see that they use the same graphic for the front. And of course on the back is where you get a different graphic. This one is for this particular wave and the main character from the wave, and you can see it's called cross-sell when you get the other figures from the wave on there. Something that I pointed out in the previous unboxing video is that this text on here, despite the fact that it is white and it has a bit of a dark brown black smear behind it to make it stand out, the font is all caps, which is really difficult to read. And in this shot here, it's just showing up as just a generic black spot. All caps is difficult to read and is really small, and this is totally unreadable. On the side is the name of the character and a little portrait of it and its background, and this is unreadable. And we get their little insignia from which faction they're from right there, and this is all part of one cardboard piece that they slip in. Here's the one from the Morgulith, just so you can see a difference on the side. It's got a little different faction. There you go, her. All right, so what I like about these is that you have the ability to open this without damaging the package. Slide the card out, flip it over. We have a bag of accessories. We have the figure, and the figure is no longer twisted in. Maybe they took this guy out and stuffed him back in the package. Who knows why, doesn't matter. When I bought this, it was under the idea that these were new old stock, possible factory seconds, possibly scratch and dent, possibly blem, etc. Here is a warning label that comes with it saying that you should use a blow dryer to heat the figure up before you play with it. Not a bad idea. I have broken some really expensive collectible figures. Okay, so he's got a loose kind of Dothraki sort of sickle blade that it comes with, and a rubber band keeping his head from jostling. How you take the rubber band off, I don't know. I know this though, that if you try to collect things like rubber bands, you will find that that stuff eventually disintegrates in the pack, and there's really not a whole lot you can do to preserve it. So here's something that's interesting, is on this particular package, there's a little bit, and I don't know if this can be seen or not, but there's a little bit of smudge from paint from the character, as if like he got put in wet or something, which doesn't really make any sense. Or it could just be that this guy got hit really hard and pushed against it. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe that happened a long time ago. But here is the figure out of the box. It feels pretty heavy right out of the bat. So let's start off by talking about the Sculpt and the paint on this figure. He's got a pretty cool sort of bodybuilder torso. He's got kind of a cool looking neck brace like he was in an accident. There is some hooves for feet and some really cool lower leg armor that looks particularly awesome, I have to say. These pieces just look awesome. They look like real, like he's wearing cast iron stove or something. There's some type of armor skirt that this figure has on, and this, which I'm sure they reuse this probably with dwarves and other dwarf-like action figures. And man, looks cool so far. The face looks pretty cool. The horns look amazing. The paint job on the top as it goes to this kind of a purple blue gradient and kind of purple blue on the top of it as it goes to red is pretty spiff, I have to say. So I'm gonna ding them points on the package because it's unreadable. I'm gonna give them points on the paint job and the sculpt, and it's my hope that one day the package will catch up to the figure, because it's a little bit behind, but not terrible. It just looks a little bit like someone did it in Photoshop, but this looks amazing, and it looks really heavy and feels amazing. So let's move on to the articulation on this guy. I haven't heated him up yet, so I don't feel like moving him, but I can see that he's got hinged legs, and the feet look like they're on balls, so you can kind of rock them back and forth. This is plastic, but it feels like wood. The hooves feel like they're made of wood or something. Let's see here, the arms, the torso of course rocks, no problem. I don't think the head moves. I don't think you're supposed to move the head. Maybe it's on a ball joint, maybe it can look up. I'm kind of afraid to touch it. The arms of course swing back and forth. The wrists rotate. There's also a joint there that hinges. Looks like there is a hinge buried inside the bicep, as it were. Of course, the legs are on hinges that allow them to do this. Overall, it's pretty solid, and you can see he definitely needs the wings because there's nothing else on his back, and that is a necessity. So I don't think this guy is quite as posable as, say, an SH Figure Arts character, 6-inch character made by Bandai, but it definitely makes up in the looks department, and it's a cool looking figure, one that you should pay attention to. We're just going to clip open the accessories now and dump them out and see what you get. Okay, he's got another one of these swords. I don't know if he's supposed to come with two or if they just flipped me one. Let's see here. He's got some crazy shoulders. Some shoulder armor. Oh, this is interesting. This actually comes with some pair of extra hands that are a little more sort of flashlight gripping. Then there's always these three pieces that are different attachments for the back. The way it works is you put this in the back slot, and this allows you to plug things into that. And there is a couple different things that you can plug into it, so they give you a couple different pieces, but there's room for these shoulders right now, no waiting. know if they say anything about using the blow dryer to heat up the shoulder pads. I think it goes that way, maybe. Yes, it's got. This is got to be a one size fits none. That is pretty brutally tight on his left side. The right side went in no problem. So let's try that again. So this is the basic figure here, and the look is fantastic on it. Again, dinging it on the package. Big ups on the sculpt and the paint. The articulation, modest, little mediocre compared to like what some of the other toy lines do. But don't even worry about that, because this is all about character and not about doing goofy stuff. So this guy's job is to look cool at all times. And so the fourth thing that I'm going to evaluate on is the fun factor. And all appearances of this guy seem to make it look as if the fun factor on this guy is cranked way up. And so let's close out with a few shots of him and a few of his gal pals.